I'd now like to introduce our first panel of the morning. We're going to be joined by Latinas who are tireless advocates for their community. They work behind the scenes so more Hispanic women and men can achieve their American dream. So without further ado, please welcome Teresa Romero, President of the United Farm Workers, the nation's first and largest farm workers union. Ms. Romero is the first immigrant woman to lead a national labor union in the United States. Cindy Benavides, CEO of the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, the oldest Hispanic civil rights organization in the country. And she is the first female CEO in LULAC's 90-year history. Ana Maria Chavez, Executive Vice President and Chief Growth Officer with the National Council on Aging. From 2011 to 2016, Ms. Chavez served as CEO of the Girl Scouts, the first woman of color to lead the century-old organization. A Latina trailblazer in more areas than one, Ms. Chavez was named one of the world's 50 greatest leaders by Fortune magazine in 2016. And Ambar Calvillo Rivera, Vice President of Campaigns with Voto Latino, a civic media organization working to bring Latino youth voices into the democratic process. Thank you. That couch is a tight fit. We just thought everyone would be comfortable regardless. And now to moderate this conversation, Juleka Lantigua Williams. She's an 18-year media veteran who now runs her own production company, Lantigua Williams & Co. Juleka, over to you.
Hi, everybody. You guys look so good. Can I just say that? You look so beautiful. I love how we're habitually overdressed, just culturally. I love that about us. I really do. All right, so to get us started, I've asked the panelists to tell us what is the coolest thing they've ever done as part of their work, right? Teresa?
Working for the UFW, I have had the opportunity to do a lot of amazing things. But I think one of the cool things that I did was a couple of years ago. Is that on?
A little more volume on the mic would be awesome, guys. Thank you. Because our voice carries, but you know, it's a big room.
Okay,
Should be on.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. Working for the United Farm Workers, I have had an opportunity to do amazing things. But I remember a couple of years ago, I went to a coffee farm in Nicaragua. And it was in the mountains of Nicaragua. And I remember driving for like 3-4 hours in the dirt road, thinking, where are they taking me? But the opportunity that I had, once we got there, it was an amazing place. The opportunity that I had to be with the coffee workers, who most of them have never even left that mountain, that farm. They had never been to the main city in Nicaragua. And to hear their aspirations and their dreams for their kids, I think it was just amazing that they had never left that place, but they had hopes and they were working for their kids to go somewhere else. And sometimes when we think about places that are so far, I spent about 4 or 5 days there. And being with people who have never left that place, that all they knew were the workers that worked there and still have the hopes for their children. To me, that was just amazing. Men and women who needed their kids to have a better place and a better life. And to me, that was cool, like you said.
No, that sounds very cool.
I will tell you that Yulenka gave us a heads up as we were walking to the front of the room, and I gasped. I was like, "Ay, Yulenka, like the biggest nerda," and thinking of what is cool. And I will tell you that for me, in a former life, I worked at Voto Latino, and coming together with the Bus Federation, Jessica Reeves at Voto, and other organizations, and rethinking what systems we could put in place. And the one thing that we were able to create is the National Voter Registration Day. How many of you have heard of that? And it was literally thinking strategically of how do we break systems, how do we make it more inclusive, how do we target one specific day to get more people to register. And it's been working ever since. So, you know, we first started with a couple 100,000 people registering to vote, and now it's grown to more than millions of people registering to vote on National Voter Registration Day. And so I want you to all just imagine the impact that you can have as an individual and rethinking what the future can be for America.
Yes.
Wow. So you said cool.
I did.
So.
But I didn't define cool.
Right.
So it's your version of cool.
Okay, so like, sorry you guys, I'm gonna go cool. Like things that take me out of my comfort zone.
I hear a name drop coming.
Okay.
Beyonce?
No. I mean, clearly I've had wonderful opportunities, especially hanging out with my parents who just rock it. My dad just turned 90 last week. They are so much fun. And my mother is just on it, Lulac, yes, she's the bomb. But one of the things I've loved in my life is that I got to work on behalf of the military. And yeah,
this is a good one.
Great boss, her name was Jan Napolitano, and she was governor. I walked into her room one day, her office, and I said, "Hey, Gov, like, I see there's an opening, like, for your military advisor. Can I do that?" She's like, "I know you've never served a day in the military." I said, "Yeah, but I could learn that side." So long story short, one of my roles was to really advocate on behalf of the bases in Arizona, including Luke Air Force Base, the most amazing men and women who work there, and we really fought very hard to ensure that their funding continued. So I became an honorary commander of one of the fighter wings, and amazing opportunity to work with them. And as the days went on and the weeks went on, the years went on, I got very close to them, and they brought me in as part of their family. And one day they surprised me and said, "Anna, we need you to be here at the base at such and such time. Bring your husband. Something's going to happen." I'm like, "Okay." So I get taken into a hangar, and they put me in a jumpsuit, and they explained to me that I'm going up in an F-16, and so I got to fly an F-16 fighter jet. It was amazing. Now, nobody knows this, but I kind of made a mistake and turned it really quick, and all of a sudden I was in Mexico, and then we went back.
And you got off, had a margarita.
So I will tell you, working on behalf of the military is the highlight of my career.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
All right, here we go. Last
Sorry
one.
you have to follow that.
I have been at Voto Latino for a year now, but I've been working and organizing in nonprofits and political campaigns for a while. And something that I continue to hear, unfortunately, is that people have a perception that young people don't care, that young people won't vote, that young people don't want to organize their communities. So for the 2018 midterm elections, we have been running a huge voter registration campaign, and across the country, in California and Central Valley, El Paso, Texas, Dallas, Florida, places, rural counties in Florida, all across the country, I saw young people stepping up and leading in their communities, and they often don't get highlighted or recognized. And so we've been working with them, amazed by them every day, and then we go in to get out the vote. And we had the opportunity to have, I am going to name drop, we had Alicia Keys, America Ferreira, and Natalie Portman be inspired by the work that we were doing, and they wanted to go and do some get out the vote stops with us. And usually you take them just to really big rallies, and you get everyone hyped. But because I was able to put the program together of where they were going to go, we were able to have them meet in smaller groups with the young people that had been doing the work day in and day out, that don't get credit, otherwise wouldn't, get this personal shout out. So one of my favorite moments is we were in a high school, it's a room full of undocumented high school students that had been registering their communities, and they were serenaded by Alicia Keys. Wow. And so to see, that's amazing. But I think for me, it was more being able to kind of bring that together and make sure they knew that they were seen.
That's amazing. Oh my God, that's amazing. Great stories, and I kind of want to apply for jobs everywhere you guys have worked now. But what I hear throughout is a couple of threads. One is your commitment to service to Latinos in the United States, right? That's very clear. But I also very clearly hear how differently you lead as Latinas. And so I'd like for you to hone in a little bit in how being a Latina, having the shared heritage that we have, how that plays into your leadership style, in particular in the areas that you work in. So why don't we start in the middle? Thank you.
Thank you, Jalenka, for that question. So, like, I'm a millennial. How many millennials do we have in the room? And actually, before I get started, where are my LULACers? To my LULACers, thank you, because a lot of people don't realize that what makes LULAC the oldest and largest Latino civil rights organization in the country, one of the most powerful organizations, it's the members. The members is what makes LULAC so powerful, because they're doing the work day in and day out. When I think of leadership, very early on, I learned that leaders serve and servants lead. And as leaders, we have to be able to open up the space for others. We have to be able to share and empower others to join us. And what do I mean by that? I strongly believe in harnessing potential. I strongly believe that every single person in this room was created with a purpose, and that if you don't believe in yourself, I am telling you right now, I believe in you. And I believe in you at a time when our parents and children are being separated. I believe in you at a time when the federal government and this administration has declared a full set-on war on all of our communities. And when this president attacks the Mexican community, you better believe that he is attacking all of Latinos in the United States of America. You better believe that. The fact that we have Puerto Rico in crisis right now did not happen overnight. And as leaders, we have to be vocal. And I will tell you that one of the things stepping in, y soy nuevecita un año, but as a millennial, what I see is that we're too complacent. We're too comfortable in our offices. And as Latinos, we have to walk, yes, on the sidewalk. We also have to march on the streets, and we have to hold our government accountable. It's not enough for us to just put it on social media. It's not enough for us to just hashtag it. Every single one of us has a duty and responsibility to be the ears and the heart of our community at a time when they feel disempowered and when they're massively afraid. I will end it with that.
Wow, you feel the passion? It's amazing. I will tell you, I just turned 51 this year, and I remember when I started my career, right? And people would tell me, so how are you going to do this? How are you going to be a female lawyer? How are you going to? And I said, do I have a choice? I'm a woman, right? And it's interesting, sort of the labels you carry throughout your life. And I think I'm very blessed at this point in my career that I am comfortable who I am. We have all worked very hard, whether you're 51 or 21. Do not let people put labels on you about your worth, that you have to wait another 10 years to be a leader. Believe me, some of the best leaders I've ever worked with were 6 years old. So go Girl Scouts. I'm sure many of you are in the audience. And so what I've learned being a Latina, it's about responsibility, actually. I think I'm going to be the person on this panel as well that's going to tell you the truth, that's going to tell you honestly what it is like to be the first of. You notice many of us are first of. I'd love to tell you that being the first woman of color to lead the Girl Scouts was all, sugar cookies and Samoas. But even as a civil rights attorney, I had to take on the Klan. I had to take on white supremacists. So what she's saying here about attacking our community doesn't just happen to people who don't speak certain languages or live a certain way. They feel obligated to be multidimensional discriminators. And so what came out of that experience for me is here I was, as somebody who had worked on behalf of a president, a vice president, 2 cabinet secretaries, and 2 governors, and yet still they felt they could come after me and people who looked like me. So that means we can never stop. That means we can't rest. That means even though we have done what we've done doesn't mean that we get to sit back, take the awards, and just move on. The reality is we have to have people in the conversation who don't look like us, right? It's very comfortable talking amongst each other about, yeah, we're going to do this together, but the reality is it's going to take more than us in this room, right? I'm glad the Hill is hosting this. I hope it's not more than just once a year, but continuing the conversation outside of DC, because the reality is we know public policy here in DC. But are we going to communities that I've been in, Arkansas and Alabama and Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, North Dakota? The conversations are happening outside of DC and they need our help. So as Latinos, right, multi-generational population, we have to be engaged at all tables. Whether it's politics, whether it's education, whether it's science and math, because our voice is valuable. And as a little girl taught me, as I was sitting on the floor cross-legged, because I'd always tell them, the average age of my boss was 7 years old, and they were very good to me. But I would ask their advice all the time, wherever I went, all over the world. And this one little girl sat me down, she's like, they used to call me Eagle One, which was pretty cool. And they said, Eagle One, it's okay, you're doing a good job. And I'm like, but what could I do better? What could I do better? And the little girl told me, she's like, just bring us hope and give us the space just to be ourselves. So that's what I would tell you as Latinos. Create the space for yourself and others just to be who you want to be.
All right, so that's a great segue because I want Teresa and Ambar to take a different angle on the question because you guys organize the masses, right? So now we have 2 leaders talking about what it takes personally, the courage and the tenacity and the drive, but how do you translate that to millions and millions of people? So Amber and then Teresa, please.
Well, so I've been reflecting about this a lot lately because I just turned 30 and it's so cliche, but I'm like, what is life? I'm like, why am I here?
We've all been there.
What I'm supposed to be doing. And in this, part of this, as being a young Latina, often the first in a lot of spaces in a lot of ways, one thing that is very important, and I see, again, across the country with the young people that we work with, is the sense of responsibility that both of you touched on. And I think it's really important to recognize how that manifests in our lives, in our work, in our personal lives, because it can be a really good motivator, but I've also found that the responsibility, the weight that we feel every day of like, I'm gonna make my parents proud, or my parents didn't have this and I'm the first one here, or my sisters are looking up to me, or there's so much our community is going through, I need to be there. That is heavy. And sometimes we don't have the language or the space to talk about the ways that we need to take care of ourselves and heal and unlearn and unpack things. Because if we don't take the time now, that impacts how we lead, how we organize, how we show up every day. And so for me, it's something that as I've reflected on, anytime I do, trainings, workshops, conferences, I lead now and I make space for people to be vulnerable and to realize what they're carrying, what they're bringing to the movement, to the organizing, because we need to help each other. We need to allow ourselves to have those conversations and heal, and not like self-care and like, let us spa and get a manicure. That's great, but I'm, also digging deep and allowing yourself to do that, and that's important for how we lead and continue to do this work.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. The other day I was reading something that says, always remember where you came from and don't lose sight of where you're going. And to me that is key, because all of us here in this room started in a different way. I'm an immigrant. I came here as an adult. I did not speak the language when I came here. I did not know anybody. I did not understand the culture. It was the change that probably many of us here have gone through. And The fact that I was able to get to where I am today, I didn't do it by myself. I didn't do it alone. I have other people. I had other women who mentored me, who helped me. And I think that's one of the things to me that it is key. We cannot move forward and forget about where we came from. We cannot move forward and forget about those in our communities that really need our help and our support. Not everybody's going to have the ability to accomplish, everything they want, all of us. But if we're there to help them, if we don't forget where we came from, it's going to be lifting the entire community. I do believe, I truly believe, and I work with farm workers day in and day out. I go and visit the farms. I see them doing the most difficult, dangerous job that exists with pesticides, heat, sexual harassment. And when you talk to these people, these women, and they tell you the dreams that they have for them and their children, is what really makes us want to help them even more. And to me, there are two things that are very important. Don't forget where we came from, and don't assume that we know what is important to the person that we have in front of us. We need to ask. We need to ask what they want, we need to ask where they want to go, and we need to ask what's important to them to be able to mentor and help somebody else.
So as leaders, you have here a bunch of talented, brilliant, very good-looking people who are considering careers in public service, who are considering careers in which social justice is at the core of their service. What is the next frontier in each of the areas that you work in that you would say to someone, if you're going to go study something, go look at this. If you're going to go explore the intersection of two movements, go plant yourself here, because that's where we're going to need the next set of leaders. Tell us where that is.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in because I'm hoping that you will join me, join a lot of people working on these issues. People always ask, so you went from youth to seniors. But here's the reality. I've been following trends for 20 years. And people are always like, wow, you went to San Antonio, Texas to work for a small Girl Scout council? I went to San Antonio, Texas because it was the image demographically of the United States in 20 years. And so as I was watching those demographics, not only the sort of the geopolitical issues that were going on, drug interdictions at the border, sex trafficking, all of that, I saw also another trend. The growing demographic of older people in the United States. Every day, 10,000 people turn 65. Today, a 10-year-old girl has a 50% chance of being 104. Wow. That means, think about our population, Latinos, we trend young, and we're having more babies, right? So I think the latest statistic I heard was out of 1 in 5 kids under the age of 5, I think 2 out of the 5 are Latino kids. So we trend young, however, the general population in the United States is growing older very quickly. So what's going to happen is that, unfortunately, as you look at the financial situation of Latinos in the United States, we're not saving enough for retirement, right? And hello, women, guess what's going to follow you in? You might be all cute and everything at 25, like working it, but here's the reality. Okay? Because we have something called the pay gap. Y'all heard of this? Okay, ladies. So we're making less per year, right? Which means we're saving less in Social Security, into retirement funds, and as a good friend of mine says all the time, don't buy shoes, ladies, buy buildings. Right? You've got to save more for retirement, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to live longer. Okay, you're going to be a caregiver most likely, either for your husband, your wife, whatever the case may be. Parents, right? Your abuelita, abuelito, right? You're going to sandwich generations. Your healthcare costs are going to continue to rise, right? So think about this. Unfortunately, because we see our population trending younger, we don't think about the next 50 years of this country. We have to prepare ourselves for leadership, which means we need to be financially secure as individuals, as families, as communities.
Okay.
That's the power.
I'm in the process become a certified financial advisor. So you can make money learning about money. Okay. We have 2.5 minutes, ladies.
All right, really quick. I guess, so my Voto Latino is sort of on the civic media front, and for a long time they've been thinking about how to use technology and social media to advance and engage people in civic engagement. But, so my first thought was, obviously tech, right, and get more women and Latinas and women of color into tech. But I would say it's like, if you're already there, if you already feel good in that space, then like go to the reverse and go to traditional grassroots organizing. And there's so many opportunities. It doesn't have to be with a candidate, it can be with an issue, it can be with something you care about. But those skills, learning how to talk to people that look very different than you at the doors and trying to share information, trying to get them to listen, that you won't get that anywhere else, right? Like that is so important, and I often see people really good at digital online organizing that don't have that. And if you have the traditional grassroots organizing, getting really comfortable talking to people of all backgrounds, being uncomfortable, challenging yourself, then go to the next frontier, which is tech. It's like, it's gonna take over our life basically, and so we should be ready and know how to interact in it.
Thank you. All right, we've got 40 seconds and 40 seconds.
I would tell you, in terms of thinking of the future, first, continue to be entrepreneurs and think outside of the box. The fact is, 45% of Fortune 500 businesses were created by immigrants or children of immigrants. You welcome America. And the other thing is thinking of, one, running for office. We need more Latinas to run for office and be at the table at the local, state, and federal level in the White House. I am so happy to see that Julian Castro, a descendant of Latinos, is running for office. But I want to see more Latinos running for offices, and I challenge people in this room to form PACs and to have the PAC of 100 or the PAC of 1,000 to run for office at the same time. All of us are super connected. We need you at the table. And before you can get to the table, we also have to check our biases. And I will tell you that within the Latino community, we have a lot of biases. Colorismo, for one. We don't talk about the intersectionality of Afro-Latinos in the Latino community or our LGBTQ community. We have to check our biases.
Thank you. Teresa,
I'm
please.
just going to be real quick. I know you don't have time, but one of the things that I want to say, and it's more personal for me, because I do see it with farm workers, and is, there is a Me Too movement, and sometimes we think about it, celebrities, and they're the ones that are going through it. It is happening everywhere. It's happening in the fields right now as we speak with you. So be proactive, help other women, not only in your community, in the schools, everywhere that you can go to. That is going to make a difference, because those women don't have a voice. The lower the education level, the lower the income level, it's even more difficult for them to be able to speak up and to ask for help.
Thank you so much. Let's thank them, please.